Prime Minister Boris Johnson has accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of unleashing barbaric violence on Ukrainian civilians as Russian forces close on Kyiv. Speaking during a visit to Warsaw, he said Vladimir Putin is preparing to use barbaric and indiscriminate tactics against innocent civilians, to bomb tower blocks, to send missiles into tower blocks, to kill children, as we are seeing in increasing numbers. He said that Putin had fatally underestimated the resistance of the Ukrainians and the resolve of the West to act. The Prime Minister said he has placed 1,000 troops on standby to help the humanitarian response in neighbouring countries of Ukraine. He said, Putin's invasion has already forced hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes, and we must prepare for an even larger outflow, perhaps numbered in the millions. During the press conference, a Ukrainian activist emotionally demanded Britain and NATO allies enforce a no-fly zone over her country to protect people from Russian bombs.
It's impossible without protection of our skies to deliver humanitarian aid deep into the country, into the east, into Kyiv. And people will be very soon out of medications, out of food, out of basic healthcare.
She said Ukrainians feel abandoned and the military supplies from Western countries come very late. Kaleniuk said Britain, along with fellow nuclear powers the United States and Russia, is a signatory to the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, under which Ukraine gave up its own atomic weapons in return for security guarantees.
Russia started full-scale invasion and is bombarding with missiles our cities, orphanages, schools. And UK and US is saying, we can't do anything, we will provide some more weapons, but we can't protect your sky, because there will be war against Russia. Is that fair?
Satellite images taken on Tuesday show a Russian military convoy north of the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv that stretches for about 40 miles. There are fears that the city will face a barrage of rockets and shells which could inflict devastating civilian casualties. Ukraine has already accused Russia of war crimes over the bombardment of civilian areas in its second-largest city, Kyiv. On Tuesday, a Russian missile attack struck the regional administration building there. Authorities say at least 10 people were killed and 35 wounded. Also on Tuesday, Ukrainian emergency services say an attack by Russian forces on a television tower in Kyiv killed 5 people. Ukraine's officials say they shot down 5 Russian planes overnight around Kyiv, and Russia has used at least 2/3 of its rocket capacity.
The enemy increases its forces to lay siege to Kyiv and Kharkiv. But in general, the situation is under control, and our military leadership knows very well what they are doing.
According to the UN Refugee Agency, more than 500,000 people have fled Ukraine. And UNICEF spokesman James Elder said thousands of Ukrainian children would suffer trauma from the fighting.
We know children have been killed. We know that thousands and thousands are at risk. And we know that more children gut-wrenchingly are going to die or be injured in this unless fighting ends. And right now we see an escalation across those cities.
Speaking from the western Ukrainian city of Lviv, he witnessed fathers handing their children across the border to the guards in Poland.
It's a very real degree of trauma. The train station behind me just almost echoes with tears as families are separating. Fathers are trying to explain to their 7-year-old daughters why dad is leaving and why they're going to a country they've not heard of.
Some Russian soldiers appeared to be misled by the Russian government. Ukraine's UN ambassador read out in front of the UN General Assembly what he said was a final text message exchange between a now fallen Russian soldier and his mother.
Mama, я на Україні.
Mama, I'm in Ukraine. There is a real war raging here, I'm afraid. We are bombing all of the cities together, even targeting civilians. We were told that they would welcome us. And they are falling under our armored vehicles, throwing themselves under the wheels and not allowing us to pass. They call us fascists. Mama, this is so hard.
He said a few moments after the last message the Russian soldier was killed. The soldier was not identified, and the ambassador did not explain how he accessed the messages. NTD could not immediately verify details of the messages and the ambassador's account of the events. Trevor Piper, NTD News.